The reading continued. The author was describing the realization of God. Propullo had become Devi Chaudhrani. It was the month of Boishakh. Devi was seated on the roof of her houseboat, talking with Diva and another woman companion. The moon was up. The boat had cast anchor in the Ganges. The conversation turned to the question of whether one could see God. Devi said, "As the aroma of a flower is directly perceived by the nose, so God is directly perceived by the mind." At this point, the master interrupted and said, "Yes, God is directly perceived by the mind, but not this ordinary mind. It is the pure mind that perceives God. And at that time, this ordinary mind does not function. A mind that has the slightest trace of attachment to the world cannot be called pure. When all the impurities of the mind are removed, you may call that mind pure mind or pure Atman." M. The author says a little later that God cannot easily be perceived by the mind. He says that one needs a telescope to have that direct vision. Yoga is the telescope. Yoga, as it is described in the Gita, is of three kinds: Jnana, Bhakti and Karma. One is able to see God through this telescope of yoga. Master: That is very good. These are the words of the Gita. M. At last, Devi Chaudhrani met her husband. She showed him great devotion and said to him, "You are my God. I wanted to learn the worship of another God, but I did not succeed. You have taken the place of all gods." Master, smiling, "I did not succeed. This is the dharma of a woman totally devoted to her husband. This also is a path." The reading was over. The master was smiling. The devotees looked at him eagerly, waiting to hear what he would say. Master, to the devotees, smiling, "This is not so bad. It is called the dharma of chastity, the single-minded devotion of a wife to her husband. If God can be worshipped through an image, why shouldn't it be possible to worship Him through a living person? It is God Himself who sports in the world as men. Oh, what a state I passed through! I passed some days absorbed in Shiva and Durga, some days absorbed in Radha and Krishna, and some days absorbed in Sita and Rama. Assuming Radha's attitude, I would cry for Krishna, and assuming Sita's attitude, I would cry for Rama. But Leela is by no means the last word. Passing through all these states, I said to the Divine Mother, Mother, in these states there is separation. Give me a state where there is no separation. Then I remained for some time absorbed in the indivisible Satchidananda. I removed the pictures of the gods and goddesses from my room. I began to perceive God in all beings. Formal worship dropped away. You see that bale tree? I used to go there to pluck its leaves. One day, as I plucked a leaf, a bit of the bark came off. I found the tree full of consciousness. I felt grieved because I had hurt the tree. One day, I tried to pluck some durba grass, but I found I couldn't do it very well. Then I forced myself to pluck it. I cannot cut a lemon. The other day I managed to cut one only with great difficulty. I chanted the name of Kali and cut the fruit as they slaughter an animal before the goddess. One day, I was about to gather some flowers. They were everywhere on the trees. At once, I had a vision of Virat. It appeared that his worship was just over. The flowers looked like a bouquet placed on the head of the deity. I could not pluck them.